My first year in teaching 25 years ago, sitting in the seats in this auditorium that actually had carvings in the seat that said the class of 1952 on it. Those seats were in here as of last year. Now look at this beautiful auditorium. $40 million investment in the Academy at Shawnee here in West Louisville. You've heard me, thank you. You've heard me several times in the State of the District address lament about having a third floor that is condemned in this school building. No other school across America would have a condemned third floor. That is now fixed. We have a third floor that was opened up on the first day of school this year, and students go to school on that beautiful third floor every day, and no longer will we say we have a condemned third floor at the Academy of Shawnee. I believe this is the example of the commitment we have for West Louisville. We have a lot more to do, though. First, I want to recognize those in the audience. Thank you for joining us today. It means a lot that I'm not speaking to an empty auditorium and I get to talk to you. So thank you, students, teachers, staff across JCPS for joining us today in the rain outside to come down to Shawnee to have this State of the District address. First and foremost, I want to thank our students. It is awesome to have you here. Thank you so much. It means a lot to get to talk to students. Unfortunately, I don't get to quite do it as much as I used to as principal, but I love seeing your faces out there. Thank you, especially those from Shawnee that are here. I want to recognize Deshaun. Big day for him. Full scholarship offered to him today, University of Pikeville. How awesome is that? Student here at the Academy of Shawnee gets a full scholarship to University of Pikeville. So congratulations, Deshaun. So proud of you. Better yet, better than even that, Ms. Rice tells me you're an awesome young man, so thank you for your leadership in this school. Teachers, thank you for being here today. If I get nothing else out of this presentation today, this 20 minutes, to be able to recognize teachers and educators, and when I say educators, I mean everyone who works in Jefferson County Public Schools. The challenge this year and over the past 2 years has been immense. And if nothing else, this gives me the opportunity to say to the educators and teachers in JCPS, thank you. I know how difficult and challenging it's been. I know during COVID, with quarantining, students coming in and out because of quarantining. I know because of an employee shortage and covering classes, all the challenges that have had to take place. The shortage of bus drivers, the shortage of custodians, the things all across this nation that are taking place. I'm confident that the JCPS staff, even during difficult and challenging times, comes every single day with a better attitude, that lighthouse leadership, that better than any district across America. So without a doubt, thank you to the teachers and educators and all who work in JCPS for your hard work this year. Also, thank you to our community. We have so many community members that have stepped up over the past year and beyond. This summer alone, we had 10,000 kids in summer learning. We've got to triple that, but that is about 5 times greater than we ever had in summer learning in JCPS. 10,000 kids touched by teachers with additional learning opportunities throughout the summer. We're going to continue on with that because it's a part of our future state that we extend learning, and I'll be telling you about that. But who stepped up to do that? That was community members who stepped up, community organizations who pitched in and said, let's make sure we wrap our arms around the kids of JCPS and do everything we can to support them during very difficult and challenging times. I'm proud to be a part of this community who wraps its arms around public education. And so to all JCPS staff, I can't even list them all, administrators, union partners, nurses, nutrition workers, housekeeping, bus drivers, it goes on and on, all across JCPS. Thanks for all you do during these very difficult and challenging times. And I do have to say this, thank you to our family members. Thank you to parents, grandparents, neighbors. I know how challenging it's been. I really do, to have to be in school, NTI, get back into school. I know mask wearing has been difficult and challenging at times, but students have stepped up and done it time and time again, and the staff has been behind us. And I just want to thank all of our families for standing behind us here at JCPS as we move our way through unprecedented times, which include a pandemic. And I have to thank our board members. Our 7 board members work tirelessly to support the students, the staff, the entire JCPS community. And I will say this, as a superintendent, there has never been a more difficult time than right now to be a decision maker. It is hard, it is challenging, and it is one decision after another. And these 7 board members continue to step up and lead for what is essentially volunteer work, but they do it because they care for the kids of this community. So thank you to our board members. So it was definitely a challenging year, but no doubt a rewarding year. Because I believe this, JCPS was one, if not the biggest community resource in Jefferson County throughout the pandemic to meet the needs of our students, our teachers, our families across this. We did so much that we have never done before. Thousands of COVID tests on a weekly basis to ensure safety. Thousands of vaccinations, staff and students providing those. Over 90% of our faculty and staff being vaccinated was an immense and tall order for us, but we met it. 13 million meals delivered. Nutrition workers standing out in the cold to provide food to families in the winter and during the rain. Thousands upon thousands of laptops and internet services given to students so that they can work from home. We are now moving to one-to-one technology as a result of the pandemic. That's one of the bright silver linings we have from this. Better technology than we've ever had in our classrooms and with our students. Mental health supports, it's well documented. The mental health supports that children need across this nation right now, and JCPS has stepped up to provide that. And without a doubt, continued academic progress, even through difficult times. Most recent NTI days, it's amazing what our staff and teachers have done to seamlessly move into NTI and help our kids. I'm so proud of this organization and what we've accomplished. Let's take a look at a couple of other things. My favorite part is the end. Is there anything better than a young elementary school child, the little girl running to her teacher and the teacher giving her a hug? I think that exemplifies what we do in JCPS. That is student belonging. You'll hear me talk about that, but that's a student who feels a sense of belonging to their school. That's what we have to maximize each and every day and what we're working towards. And through all these obstacles, we still haven't wavered for what we believe in JCPS. First and foremost, our 3 pillars: improving culture and climate. And it is as hard as it's ever been to work on culture and climate in the midst of the challenges that we face. More talking about that later when we talk about teacher shortage. But working on that to support our staff and students. Racial equity during difficult times. We are committed to eliminating that achievement gap and providing the same opportunities, equitable opportunities for all students, no matter their zip code, where they come from, or the color of their skin. And then finally, without a doubt, is making sure our kids have those authentic learning opportunities with our backpack of success skills. So yes, we're teaching the academic skills, but all the success skills that students need to be successful in the world, and that's going to guarantee them that upward trajectory that's going to guarantee success. But other important programs I want to highlight that have just been so successful. Academies of Louisville has been a huge success and continues to be. Even when we had difficult time bringing students in to test for certifications, our students and our high schools still work to make sure students were on pathways to get a Diploma Plus. We are on path for record-setting transition readiness, which was college and career readiness. Can't wait to see what happens with the class of 2022. Class of 2021, record graduation rates in JCPS, most of all time. So 22, you're on call to make sure that we get above that number right there. We're also adding Explorer Academies and Pathways to JCPS, which is middle school. So we make sure we engage our middle school students and prepare them to select a high school based on something that they are passionate about. One thing that I don't think we've talked about enough is Evolve 502. Jefferson County Public Schools, in relationship with our community, is now offering every single graduate from JCPS, the class of 2021 and the class of 2022, free tuition to post-secondary at JCTC or Simmons College of Kentucky. And that is guaranteed to every student in high school right now. Along with the governor's Everybody Counts, we are a school district who guarantees every high school student a 2-year tuition to JCTC or Simmons, plus 2 years to U of L for many of our students, paid for, along with a guaranteed job opportunity at one of the major employers in Jefferson County. I would challenge anyone to find another city, another school district who has come together to do that. So I'm very proud of this work that we have done. But also knowing that we haven't changed, we know there's a lot of things we have to focus on and work towards change. We have changed a great deal in the past 2 to 3 years, even during the pandemic. But we know we have more to do. 2 years ago, I highlighted what I called Future State during the State of the District address that was at the Galt House. We talked about the major changes that needed to take place. Even during the pandemic, it's been challenging to do that. We have focused on this bold change that we call Future State. And this is what I tell you, I believe this, 2022 will mark the year for the boldest and most change in JCPS in the history of this district. And I'm excited to bring this to our board and to implement these changes because we know it is time for a change. Our Future State is about engaging students, making sure our students are passionate about coming to school, passionate about learning from pre-K all the way through 12 and prepared for college and career. But we cannot do this if they don't have that sense of belonging and feel a sense of engagement in the learning and what they do in every single school. And I'll say this, I said this 2 years ago, the fundamental structures in JCPS, the foundation, those things that we talk about, not just initiatives, they haven't changed in many years, and in many cases, decades. And we have to design systems that are best, that are engaging students and increasing that sense of belonging, which leads to an increase in student outcomes. I'm so proud of this district and our board. Even during challenging times, we brought a revenue increase. We brought a revenue increase to our board and to the taxpayers of this community in order to fund this Future State. We are getting close to the end of the road on that, where I believe we will have the funding necessary to support every child in Jefferson County. And I'm proud of that, and I look forward to the time we fully implement our Future State here in JCPS. So thank you for that. And without a doubt, one of the biggest changes that we will tackle in 2022 is student assignment. It is one of the most controversial issues that has been a part of this community since 1976. Many people still talk about 1976 and the major changes that were made that were monumental and will always be remembered as some of the most monumental change and improvement for Jefferson County Public Schools. But we have not investigated, looked, and changed our student assignment plan in 38 years. That is not effective in any structure to not make change in 38 years. So first and foremost, we've evaluated whether our current student assignment plan supports student engagement and supports a sense of belonging and supports student outcomes. And I have to say this, I believe this. It does not. It is time for a change. 2 years ago, in the State of the District address, I made the following quote: "Our student assignment plan has been debated and discussed in our community for decades. In order to have a thriving community, you must have diversity, but there also must be choice in the schools that students attend. For far too long, only one community had to be responsible for ensuring diversity in our school, and that's predominantly students of West Louisville." And so the students of West Louisville, they have been bearing the burden of diversity for 38 years. It is time for a change. We brought out a plan 2 years ago that would impact middle and high school only. What we did during COVID was realize elementary student assignment needed as much work as middle and high. And more importantly, we have a multitude of student assignment plans. We have an elementary, a middle, a high school student assignment plan, a magnet school. None of them were designed together. What you will see is what has led to is a lack of feeder patterns for our students, a lack of predictability, and a lack of choice for families and students in West Louisville, and that must change. So why do we need a new plan? First and foremost, I'm going back to it again, and I could talk about this for an hour. It's about student belonging and student outcomes. That's what we have to focus on right now. We have too many students missing school every day. When we have students missing school, it's nearly impossible for our teachers to get students where they need to be with students' outcome. When anybody, any family has the opportunity to choose a school based upon a curricular need, and we have so many opportunities in JCPS, the likelihood of student belonging and outcomes and success for students dramatically increases. And that's what we have to make sure that we build in our student assignment plan, and it is long overdue. So we have to look at student belonging that we have right now based upon what's happening with our students. I believe student belonging and engagement in school is the most important part, and research supports this in student outcomes. When a student does not feel a sense of belonging to their school or engagement, they will not be successful. One example of this in JCPS, and we have to be honest with this, our comprehensive school survey showed this number right here. Only 62% of our black female high school students tell us they feel a sense of belonging at their school. That's far too low and well below every other group. We must make a change. Too many of our students are not feeling a sense of belonging. It's not just student assignment. There's many other factors that lead to that. But we have to say student assignment is having an impact on that. We know as well as the next one, 75% of our middle and high school students who attend a school outside of their own community, and it isn't their choice, are missing 6 or more days of school. That is the benchmark when achievement begins to be negatively impacted. 3 out of 4 students are missing 6 or more days of school. That has to change if we expect outcomes to change. And as I told you before, because we designed elementary, middle, and high, there is a lack of predictability in families, and even worse, this is a look at our feeder patterns from middle to high school. This is hurting our students' sense of belonging. I look at the school I was principal at, Doss. You can see that these are the middle schools that feed into Doss. Carithers, Conway, Cameron, Ramsey, Stewart, from all corners of the city. That has to change. We can't build structures and programs and systems to support students in transition and build these programs like the Explore pathways into the academies of Louisville if there is not a pathway between elementary, middle, and high schools. And even more concerning, we took 1 square mile of West Louisville, 1 square mile, and the elementary students in that square mile attend 43 different elementary schools. You would not find that same number anywhere else in the entire city. And if we are going to support student belonging and choice, which I will say once again, 75% of our elementary school families put a school close to home as their first choice. And finally, I'll tell you this. This is an actual student in JCPS. Their journey through JCPS, not by choice, but by assignment. Student went to King Elementary, right up the street from where we stand right now. Their middle school assignment is Cameron Middle School, all the way out in East Louisville near Ballard High School. Their high school that they were going to, that they were assigned to go to, was Valley High School in Valley Station, which you know is in the complete opposite corner of the city. We have a parent today who had a child in Cameron Middle School and a child in Valley High School based on student assignment. That must change. And I know it's going to be hard. There is no doubt about it. It's really why not any other boards or superintendents have tackled this issue in 38 years, because of the challenges that come with that. We already know right now we are the 4th most segregated city in America by housing patterns, which makes diversity in schools very, very challenging. There is no doubt. But one thing we are committed to do is to provide choice to families in West Louisville and make sure we resource those schools, provide the funding that they need to be successful, be open and transparent about the process. One thing we know, in short, we can all debate what the answer is. What we cannot debate is that our student assignment plan that we currently have is not working, and it's time for a change. It's time for us to come together throughout the spring, work on a new student assignment plan, bring recommendations to the community, get feedback, bring a final recommendation to our board, and make a change as soon as possible to support the students of Jefferson County Public School. And this is about all of our students when we look at feeder patterns, not just those in West Louisville. Predictability, increasing choice in our magnets. There's going to be significant movement in magnets as well. And I think it is all so important for student belonging and student outcomes. Along with that, I talked about future state earlier, and you will see these were the tenets I talked about 2 years ago. We've been moving forward on these. First and foremost, facilities. We're opening 4 new schools in the next 18 months, 2 at the start of the next school year. I can't wait to cut the ribbon on that. That's more schools than we've opened up in this entire century. So it is a great time for our facilities in JCPS, but we have a long way to go. You know we're investing another $100 million coming soon, but this is just the beginning. I can't wait to begin to bring our facilities into the 21st century. It's an exciting time, and to do that in every single school. We need to invest in our students who need it the most. We need additional learning time, tutoring for our students, investing in tutoring and our academic centers that will be opening soon to provide additional learning time for all of our students, and without a doubt, invest in our staffing. We can't do this work of the future state without making sure that we have great teachers and great educators in every classroom and every school. Also, we're working on start time to schools. We know asking students, high school and middle school students, to get up at 5:30 and 6 in the morning is not healthy for our students, their mental health, their physical health, and the outcomes that come with that. We haven't changed start times in 4 decades. It is time to make that change. We are going to bring a proposal, a phased-in proposal, over 2 years to change those start times that is going to change outcomes for our kids. It is impacting attendance. We must get kids in school if we expect outcomes to change, and we must change our start times and our patterns to make our current bus situation with bus drivers sustainable. We'll be asking for public support on these and phasing this in, but this is a critical change for JCPS. And I'm really proud of the security plan we passed. We're in the middle of implementation, $7.5 million investment in safety and security in our schools for the 22-23 school year. We know kids are suffering in communities. We know communities are facing violence in this city like we haven't seen before, and all across America. And unfortunately, many times schools are a microcosm of the community. We have to support that safety and security. We're going to bring 30 SSOs, school safety officers, that will work 5 to 6 schools. Then we're also going to have a safety administrator in every middle and high school to build relationships with kids and make sure that we can support safety and security full-time in all of our schools. We're working on this plan right now, implementation, hiring, training. Look forward to implementing this in August at the start of the school year. And as I finish up today, can't say that I can't finish up without talking maybe something that I'm most passionate about right now, and that is the teacher and educator shortage in this community, in this Commonwealth, and in this nation. We have a crisis on our hands, folks. We have a real crisis on our hands. We will be able to mitigate it in JCPS for the foreseeable future. But this is not just an urban problem. This is a suburban problem. This is a rural well. I talked to superintendents across the state, and we have to ask why. Why does the University of Kentucky, the #1 certifying institution for teachers in the state, have 300 less candidates than it did just 6 years ago? Just 6 years ago. And I believe it's this. What are we asking our educators to do? We continue to ask teachers, administrators, superintendents, bus drivers to do more than they've ever done with less. We have less funding for our schools than we did 12 to 15 years ago. Our teachers and educators are making less than they did, yet they are being expected to meet the needs of kids with rising childhood poverty, homelessness, and a mental health crisis. And this is why we continue to lose educators across this nation on a daily basis. We have to make a change. I won't even get into the political side and the political narrative that is around teaching in public schools right now. But that is driving away educators from the system right now. If we don't address this and make a change, this nation will be facing a major crisis in 10 years, and I am committed to doing what I need to do to make sure we support the educators in JCPS so that we can be successful and meet the needs of our future state. And so as I wrap up, we're proposing bold changes in JCPS. I'm proud of our district. I'm proud of what we've accomplished during difficult times. Students, there's nothing more than I want than a normal year for 22-23. And we're hoping that that's what's coming ahead of us. We thought it was going to be this year, it wasn't. But we've made it through it. We've worked together, we're meeting the needs of students. Students, you're stepping up and doing great things, and I'm so proud of you. We've accomplished so much for the kids, the staff of this community, and the community as a whole. But it's time to make some bold changes. It's time to change our student assignment plan. It's time to make the future state for JCPS become a reality in this community. And finally, it's time to have more support for our teachers and educators throughout this entire district. There may be bumps in the road. It's going to be hard. Who knows what's going to happen with the pandemic? We have no idea what's ahead of us, if there's another surge or not. But what I do know, JCPS is going to be there to meet that challenge. It's time for a change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pollio. As sort of a reward for you students showing up, we've decided that you get to ask a few questions of Dr. Pollio after his speech. So, Quinn, I think you had sent us a question. So, Quinn, why don't you give your question to Dr. Pollio?
Give me your name and school, please.
My name is Quinn McConnell. I'm a junior at Seneca High School. Go Redhawks.
All right. Thank you, Quinn, for being here. Good job.
Thank you. My question for you is, attendance has gotten worse since the pandemic started. What can we